So you wish to continue the Kamisato bloodline. Okay. But you haven't got a single good artifact for Ayaka, you didn't know Cryo was Greek for ice, and your old childhood nemesis, Huberto, has everything you don't. Looks, charms, and he also has Friendship 10 with Ayato and plans to propose first. If you can't figure this out, you'll lose your fictional anime love to your fictional anime rival, and then you'll be sitting in your room realizing that you're going crazy. But don't worry, my friend, the Lightning Eagle is here with a guide just for you.
Was it once thought?
Now, to be a true house spouse, it rhymes, you must know what role Ayaka takes in her day-to-day missions being from such a prestigious family, and also what she does in her team. Ayaka's role is as a burst DPS. Her burst inflicts a massive amount of damage in comparison to the rest of her kit, even though they aren't too bad themselves. Ayaka takes to the front lines, and you must be ready with your broom to follow her.
What's that drew him to my...
Swords are very important to the Kamisato family. You must pick a weapon that is poised, refined, and combat ready. Picking the wrong weapon is not only a disgrace, it is an insult. Do you want to insult this face? Do you want to make her sad and run to the arms of Huberti? Good. So let's go over the swords right now. Mist Splitter, crit damage and elemental damage. Now, the Mist Splitter also has emblems, which is basically just a boost to your elemental damage. When your normal attack does elemental damage, so like when Ayaka dashes and then attacks, you get more elemental damage. When you burst, you get more elemental damage. Also, when you have less than 100% energy, you gain elemental damage. The first two bonuses you lose after timers, and then the last one is whenever you have full energy, that emblem goes away. Summit Shaper, attack percentage with a bonus in shield strength. You get an attack buff every time you land a normal attack, and when you're shielded, this attack buff is doubled, so your 20% goes from 40% with maximum stacks. Jade Cutter, crit rate with an HP buff. You get an attack buff based off your maximum HP. Skyward Blade, ER with a crit rate increase. Burst boosts your speed, the speed of both your movement and attacks, and your normal and charge attacks are also boosted. This bonus is on a 12-second timer. Aquila Favonium, physical damage bonus, also an attack bonus. When an enemy attacks you while you have this sword equipped, there's a chance for healing and a good AoE attack that happens while you are being healed. Blackcliff Longsword, crit damage, and after defeating an enemy, you get an attack boost. You can get 3 of these boosts. The Black Sword, crit rate, your normal and charge attacks are boosted. Also, you heal every time you hit a crit. This can happen every 5 seconds. Shortening this one, the Kageguchi, attack percentage. So we're going to simplify this. Every time you use your skill, you gain a seed. It can happen every 5 seconds. When you stack up to 3 seeds, you can only stack up to 3, and use your burst, you get energy back for each seed you have. So it's basically just a lot of energy. So for my opinion on all the swords, I say the Kageguchi is the easiest sword to get because it's craftable, and that also helps her with her burst while giving her more attack percentage. After that would either be the Blackcliff or the Black Sword. Both of those are good because they have crit rate or crit damage, but the Blackcliff sword only gives you a bonus after killing opponents, so just keep that in mind. And then for the negative on the Black Sword, you are a Cryo character, so your crit rate is going to be a little bit higher thanks to Cryo Resident and 4-piece Cryo set. Now, I'd say most of the 5 stars are just good in general. I think the only one I would be a little questionable about is Aquila, just because it's only physical damage, so the moment you dash, all that extra bonus damage from the Aquila sword, it does not work. Physical damage bonus only works for a non-dashing Ayaka, which leaves you open to attack. Now, just gift wrap that sword and give it to her.
Oh, a little blade dreams.
So you might be asking, Eagle, why is Ayaka standing in a bush of flowers? Buzz. Buzz. She's buzzing like a bee. Stinks like one. Buzz stands for burst, autos, then skill. Now that we picked out Ayaka's weapon, it's important that we learn her moves so you can better synergize. You're no use as a house spouse if you don't know how she fights. Now, before we get into combat, let's get one of Ayaka's most important talents out of the way. The Kamisato Art Senhole is Ayaka's dash that applies cryo to her blade and also can apply cryo near her enemies. This dash is not only good for traveling, it is also what enables her cryo damage. You can see on her sword whether or not the cryo damage has been applied, with cryo damage, without cryo damage. She'll gain cryo on her sword every time you dash, so you can just refresh it by dashing more. Along with Ayaka's dash, once it hits an opponent, you gain cryo damage bonus with one of her passive talent. It also restores stamina. Ayaka has a 5-string normal attack. The star of her auto attacks is her charge attack, a multi-hitting AoE attack that can also attack from a distance. It can be great with dealing with groups or just doing multi-damage on an enemy. Ayaka's skill, the Kamisato Art Ayaka, is an AoE cryo attack that sends your enemies up in the air. It's almost like a little bomb. It can do a pretty good amount of damage and also attack multiple enemies at once. And when you combine that with her passive talent, you will buff her normal and charge attacks. So you should use your skill and then go into your normal attacks. And now we show up to the blender itself, Kamisato Art Sometsu. This is where most of Ayaka's damage comes from, and it can be devastating to almost any opponent in the game. Pairing this burst up with other bursts like Venti's, Sucrose's can be insane. Ayaka loads up a whirlwind and chucks it at the opponent. And the very last hit does the most damage. Also, Ayaka has a chance of giving you more weapon ascension material. She do love her swords.
Had I known it a dream?
Oh no, Huberti's found the lost artifact of weebdom. Don't panic though, he got an artifact for himself. We'll get artifacts specifically for Ayaka, but the question is, what kind of artifact would ever suit Ayaka? It's Blizzard Sphere. It's 4-piece Blizzard Sphere. This shouldn't be hard. What? Wait, you want more than that? 2-piece Blizzard, 2-piece attack. Wait, you want another one? It'll also run 2-piece Blizzard, 2-piece Noblesse. Are we good? With the 4-piece Blizzard, we're getting cryo damage and almost 40% in crit rate. A set like this really allows you to focus in on crit damage. As for the 3 pieces outside of the flower and the feather, because those are already set, you want attack percentage on your timepiece, cryo damage on your goblet, and then crit rate or crit damage depending on how much you have. If you were to go 2-piece Blizzard, 2-piece Noblesse, the 2-piece from the Noblesse will give you extra burst damage. And then if you don't have that, the attack percentage obviously gives you more attack percentage. We have 4 sets now that give you attack percentage. Vermilion, the new set for Zhao, Shimenawa, the Gladiator set, and Echoes, which I have no pieces of. My top recommendation is the 4-piece Blizzard, but any of those will work.
One would not have...
Ah, the wishing cliff, for we pray to change our misfortunes. Luckily enough, Huberti going to get that artifact gave us time to get here first. Now as we look to summon the stars, let's see what we can get if we summon a couple of them. Simplifying Ayaka's cons, normal attack and charge attack allow you to lower the skill's cooldown. B2 gives you that crazy triple burst NATO thing you saw in her trailer and everybody using whenever they're using their comps. Basically gives her burst extra damage and range. C4, burst lowers the enemy's defense. And then C6 is basically just a charge attack buff. If you want my recommendation, if you're going for constellations, I'd probably stop at C2. You get to refresh your skill and then also get the crazy Tornado 3 burst killing. Now you make sure to remember to grab your cash and not drop any of it here. That stuff can be really slippery. The moisture up here is intense.
1 hour later.
Time to pray for luck. Ouchie ouch.
Well, I guess we don't have to worry about Huberti now? You should probably call an ambulance.
Wakened.
This is my typical team for Ayaka. Ayaka does good with 2 cryo characters to allow her to get resonance and also allow her to get energy back. A swirling character like Venti, Sucrose, or Kazuha are really good just to bring everybody together for her burst. And then you need a hydro character that will allow you to apply hydro so you can actually freeze people. But typically I find this team works a lot. If you don't have Shenhe, because she's a 5-star, you could replace her with somebody like Rosaria with the Favonius Lance, Kaya possibly with a Favonius Sword, or Diona. So another team you can do is your 2 cryo characters and then your 2 pyro characters here, Shunling and Bennett, and that way you can get a Milt Ayaka. I don't typically run this one, but it can be fun to do. But typically with Ayaka, I try to go for free. However, I will say I usually use this team when it comes to bosses who cannot be frozen. If you remember from earlier, Cryo Resonance allows you to get more crit rate up so you can just focus more on crit damage. For the showcase today, we're going to be using my normal team, Team KSSS, which we call Team KISS. Now let's do it.
I love...
Hold it right there, you Grand Tree Shrine Maiden Hu Tao says you are to watch this video, or else she'll summon the Grand Tree Spirit after you and all your wishes in Genshin Impact. Press it! Press the button now!